everyone. Welcome to this week's episode on Laid Back the Atorozinga podcast. And our topics for this week is the psychology of hope in chronic illnesses. And our guest for this week is Kezia Kecibas. Kezia is an actress and the founder of Kecibas Holistic, which is a holistic therapy company focused on aromatherapy, reflexology, and Swedish body massage for men and women. Recently, Kezia was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is a chronic condition that occurs when your immune cells attack your central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord. And this actually limits motor, visual, and sensory performance. She had to travel to Russia to undergo stem cell transplantation, which is a potential therapeutic option for multiple sclerosis. Hello, Kezia. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So this is the same question I asked everybody.
Yeah.
So is this your first time on a podcast?
It isn't my first time.
Oh, really?
It isn't. I've been on a few.
Yeah.
Basically trying to spread hope is my plan.
Fair enough. So, but what are your expectations today? We are in a big studio, so what are your expectations?
I know. I walked in and I was like, "There's microphones, there's cameras."
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. I'm extremely excited.
Oh, okay. So let's start off by actually taking you back. When you actually got your diagnosis, what did it whole feel like in that instance when you got your diagnosis?
Well, I was diagnosed in 2007, so it was quite a while back.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, that's not me. It doesn't happen to me, because multiple sclerosis, you naturally as a human, you look to worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew one person that had it, and she went into a wheelchair pretty quickly and sadly died a few years later.
Oh, wow.
So I just thought, that's not me. I'm healthy. I was doing wolf runs. I was always involved in hockey teams and doing loads of physical things.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my first thought was, no, they've got it wrong. And then I thought, what I will do is ignore it. And I did all the injections that I was told to do. So I did exactly what I was told to do. I hid my diagnosis because I couldn't handle it. And I thought, if I hide it, it's not real.
Did you hide it from yourself or from the public?
Well, I said to the public, so my clients didn't know. I got quite sneaky. I had a stick hidden. If I was out, I had a fold-away stick that I just put in my bag and leant against a wall. So I got very sneaky. It's quite bad now, I realise that.
Yeah.
But I think I was hiding it from myself. And as long as I didn't talk about it, it wasn't happening. So it wasn't real. So in hindsight, it was because I hadn't dealt with it. So I was hiding it from myself. But I made it so no one knew. It was only very close family and friends that knew, because I couldn't handle it.
So the first thought that came to your mind was, first of all, to actually reject it, and then hide the diagnosis because you feel like, nah, this can't be me.
Yeah. So, well, I thought it happens to everyone else. You see it.
But when you say everyone else, what do you mean? Like, do you think people are not into physical activity like you, or?
I thought I'm so healthy.
Yeah.
I was eating well. I was doing loads of sports. I wasn't. And then the other thought was like, am I a bad person? What did I do wrong? That's not fair. What have I done to deserve this?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you see on telly all these people, and you see people around you who are ill, and you never think it's actually going to happen to you.
Yeah.
It's like with anything. So my first thought was, I'm just going to pretend it's not happening and it will go away.
Yeah.
And I think it was about 11 and a half years that I hid it for.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time. So I got because I've got a theatre degree, so I'm quite good at hiding things. And my clients thought I had cramp, or thought, I twisted my ankle, and I didn't lie. I just wasn't honest, which is basically lying, isn't it?
So you just didn't want to talk about it.
I didn't want to deal with it. I couldn't deal with it. And it was only when the neurologist said to me, there is nothing else the NHS can do for you. We're really sorry you're going to be in a wheelchair. And then I went, no, that's not me. And I'd read about so many different things to save you from MS and all these things. And someone said about a stem cell transplant.
Yeah.
And I'd been to a talk, and lots of people were being very official and talking about statistics, and neurologists from London. And then this one little doctor came on, and he said, we're all friends. I'm the scientist, yes, I'm the doctor, neurologist, but the patients look after each other. We're friends. We have friends all over the world. And I thought, okay, I'm going to trust in this very hippie, crazy doctor. And that doctor happened to be Dr. Fedorenko from Russia.
Oh, wow.
So, and then obviously, because I said to the doctor, neurologist, my specialist, I said, I'm going to have a stem cell transplant. I read about it, and he said, you're too far gone. It won't work for you. He goes, the NHS won't pay for that for you because you're too far. And I went, okay. And then I came out to the world, and that's what made me come out to fundraise to go to have a stem cell transplant in Russia. So I fundraised for 7 months. I was so lucky because MS is progressive, so you get slowly worse. And so I had limited time, and I didn't know how much time I had because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
So I literally came out, my clients, my friends, my family. I started doing videos on YouTube, showing the things I was going through, my falls, my infusions, everything. And then we managed to raise the money, and then I headed over to Russia. So that was in 2019. I had the stem cell transplant.
So that was like 12 years after your diagnosis.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but when the NHS clinicians actually told you there's nothing they can do for you
Yeah.
anymore, you are too far gone.
Yeah.
How did you emotionally process that?
I think I had a bit of a temper tantrum. I literally went, no, because my surname, Kecibas, literally means stubborn.
Yeah.
And I am. And I was like, no, there is something I can do. I'll do it myself. And I was literally like a stroppy. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And there's no guarantee. So that's what people have to understand. There is no guarantee with a stem cell transplant. The idea is that it sort of stops MS in its tracks. And if you're lucky, it can reverse things as well.
Yeah.
But there is no guarantee. It's like one shoe doesn't fit all. So one treatment will work for someone, it won't work for someone else. But I thought, I've got no choice. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I want to play with my children. I want to do my job because I love my job. I was like, I'm going to throw all my eggs in a basket and just come out to the world and fundraise and head to Russia. And that's what I did in 2019 with my fingers still in my ears, admittedly, because it's a scary process. But when I got there, people were like, oh, do you want to hear what happens next? And I was like, no. And they were like, what do you mean? You know, because lots of people had no hair because they'd had chemo.
Yeah.
And there was people, and they were like, oh, do you want to hear? And I was like, no. They're like, what do you mean, no? And I said, just tell me what's happening tomorrow. And they were like, okay. And everyone said, have you read about it? And I sort of had. But to be honest, I was just sort of putting my faith in, in the universe and just in the doctors and crossing my fingers, really. So it was a bit of a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
But the other patients in there were amazing, and they were amazing support. And I said to everyone, just tell me what's happening tomorrow. Because obviously everyone's at different stages of the treatment.
Yeah. But you've mentioned chemotherapy now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you actually did the stem cell transplantation.
Yes, I did.
Right? For those who do not understand what that means, could you explain what that means?
Yes. Basically, they harvest your stem cells. So it's your own stem cells that are used. So I literally had 2 slits in my neck, and I had a tube going into my heart and then another one into the bottom of my spine. And they took out my stem cells, and then they put them in a centrifuge, and they separate the good stem cells and the MS ones. So they separate the 2 of them and they freeze them. And then you have chemotherapy, because with MS, it's your immune system that's attacking you. So you almost have to kill off your own immune system.
Yeah.
So the chemo was pretty hardcore. I was in isolation only for 8 days, which wasn't too long in Russia. I mean, the chemotherapy, they actually bleached the outside of my door in case anyone opened up the door while I was having it. And I lost all my hair. I kept my eyebrows, which was quite nice. And apparently my head shape is not too bad. So I was quite relieved. Someone says, oh, you suit being bald. So the treatment, I look back now, was actually pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
So you have chemotherapy, and then they slowly, they put your stem cells back in, which are freezing cold. And I didn't realize, because I was very stupid, because I didn't do too much research. And so when they did the transplant, so they'd got my immune system so low. So almost, because someone said you almost got to the point where they killed you because the immune system was so low. And at that point, they put my stem cells, the cleaned up ones, back in, and almost like a reboost. And then they fed me and fed me and fed me and fed me to get me back up to strength. And I stayed in isolation. Like I said, only for 8 days I was in isolation until my immune system was bearable, basically. And then when I came back to England, I was still in isolation here, just to sort of get myself back together. And it was just sort of like fingers crossed all the way. I mean, 3 months, I was in isolation for 3 months. And when I came out, we went into lockdown because
Oh,
Leicester
wow.
was the first place to go into lockdown.
Yeah.
So I had 3 months out, but I was wearing the face masks, the gloves, everything. So it looked quite. I already had everything ready for COVID. So I was all prepared.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredible, scary but incredible. But it gave me. I had 3 months. Do you know what? We were in lockdown, and I wrote my book, which I wrote down
Nice.
all the MS stories that I said I'm never telling anyone
Yeah.
because I hid it for so long, and that's not good to
Yeah.
hide something like that.
So, but how do you define hope now? You got your diagnosis in 2007.
Yes.
You end up saying, okay, this is not me. You
Yeah.
tried as much as possible to stretch yourself from the diagnosis.
Hmm.
It took you 12 years to actually accept it and then went to Russia for the
Yeah.
transplantation.
Yeah.
We are in 2026, now 7
Yeah.
years on,
Yeah.
post transplantation. So, how do you define hope now compared to before you got your
Yes.
diagnosis, when you got your diagnosis, when the NHS clinicians told you there's nothing they can do for you
Yeah.
anymore, and now that you've done everything, this is 7 years post transplantation. How do you define hope compared
Hope
to this
hope
eras?
is like a smile. It's like an inner smile is the best way. It really is. And it's like everyone should have hope.
Yeah.
And whether it's in, whether it is a diagnosis, hope of living, because it was only when I sort of came out that I found my power. Honestly, it's and and my diagnosis, strange as it is a massive blessing to me. My best friend said to me, I'm glad you got diagnosed with MS. And I was like, that is such a horrible thing for my best friend to say. But she said, but if you didn't, we'd be sat maybe in the pub talking, maybe on your sofa. But because you're diagnosed with MS, we are going in a hot air balloon. We are jumping off a boat. We are sleeping under a big whale in the museum. We do crazy things because you've got MS and because
You're
someone
trying to
who's
live.
disabled, yeah, absolutely. And someone disabled shouldn't be able to do this. And so we go above and beyond to do crazy things because life is so much fun. And if you're just literally doing the humdrum every day, you miss out.
Yeah.
And the world is so beautiful. And there are horrible people in the world, but there's amazing people. There are
Yeah,
so many.
true.
But if you keep your eyes closed and literally sit on the sofa and do nothing, you miss out on so much.
Yeah. But when you talk about the hope, I can see you are happy now. But when you talk about hope, do you think it's something you consciously chose, or do you think it's something that emerged on its own?
That's a really good question. Um, I think probably when I got to the point of there is nothing I can do, suddenly it was I pulled up my big girl pants and I was like, right, we are doing, and it's I found my strength. And the people around me were amazing because when you're honest and you say, because to ask for help is so difficult, it's so hard for anyone to ask for help.
Yeah.
But when you actually ask for help, people are amazing. And the hope that I found was hope that I can do more,
Yeah.
so it's a good question. I'm not exactly sure the answer. I've got a sort of tandem way of answering.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's all
Yeah.
about what do you think. Do you think it actually came to you, or you made a conscious effort? You know what to say. Okay, you know what? I'm going to be hopeful and enjoy life.
I
Or
think
do you think it emerged on its own, or maybe you had an epiphany and
I
then it
think
emerged on its. What do you think?
I think the epiphany thing.
Yeah.
I think it's when you're brought to the lowest point is when it's the fight or flight, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like, right, I'm going to do this, and this is when because your hope has got to always be there.
Yeah.
It's just when you reach for the hope and when
Yeah.
you say, right, I think it's the acknowledgement because we've all got some sort of hope in us. It might just be buried deep down.
Yeah.
But I think the acknowledgement of hope
Yeah.
was at that point.
But do you think having hope is helpful, or do you think it's important to some
Oh, it's so
people?
important.
Yeah.
I would say it's the most important thing
Yeah.
because with anything, with life, hope is literally what keeps us going. Even if it's the smallest thing, like you hope for the sun to come out,
Yeah.
you hope for promotion, you hope your kids are
True.
well, you hope absolutely.
Yeah.
And hope is what keeps us going as humans. It's
Yeah.
that next stage.
Yeah.
And hope is so important. It's a lifeline for so many.
Yeah. I agree with that. But you've talked about how the diagnosis and the treatment actually changed a lot of things. Your body, your hair, and everything. We still talk about that. But do you think your diagnosis actually affected your sense of identity as a holistic therapist?
Absolutely.
How?
Absolutely. Well, I got diagnosed halfway through my training.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for myself. What can I do? Little things like, if I was really tired, because with MS, fatigue's a big thing. So I was like, what can I do naturally? What can I do? And then I did some maternity cover for someone. So I was a trained holistic therapist before I'd come out to the world. And I literally covered the holistic therapist at the Leicestershire MS Therapy Centre, sorry. And I noticed that reflexology helped so many people with bladder and bowel problems, and it helped people with their balance.
Yeah.
And I was seeing this every day. While I was working there, people were saying, I'm having less problems with my bowels since you've been doing reflexology. And then with massage, people were saying my legs, I mean, that one is obvious, but with reflex, the feedback was immense. And so I was taking this on and I was thinking, I need to look at this for myself.
Yeah.
So I mean, to do your own feet is very difficult. To massage your own feet, I tried, but it
Yeah.
is hard. But I started looking at natural things. And I'm not saying that, alternative medicine should replace conventional medicine, but go hand in hand. Because there's always natural path that you can take,
Yeah.
which can complement, natural sort of everyday medicine.
Yeah.
And you should always look, because I think in the world, for every illness, I think there's also a cure in nature. I know that's a bit of a far out thing to say, but there are so many
True.
things in nature that we don't look at.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but what parts of your identity do you think remain strong despite everything you've gone through?
The strongest, I
Yeah,
think,
because
probably.
since your identity as a holistic therapist, actually, it's totally because you were in training when you got your diagnosis, and then you saw
Absolutely.
people undergoing reflexology, and they actually helped them with bowel movements. So
Yeah.
now, but looking back now, what part of your identity do you think remains strong despite everything you've gone through now?
I think probably my awe for nature and the world. And I think that's just got stronger and stronger and stronger. Um, yeah, so the holistics is a massive part, and that carried me through. When I was actually struggling, I threw myself into books, and obviously with my kids as well, into my children, but I threw myself into my books and into studying reflexology, and I had lots of people that were coming to me to get pregnant, and I threw my whole world into how can I fix everyone else? How can I help everyone else?
Yeah,
There's another way of ignoring my stuff, but on the side, I was saying, oh, if this is working for them, then maybe I'll try it for myself just because, So I think, yeah, definitely holistics has remained and just it's just proof that
so that's your care and empathy for others.
I think,
It's
yeah.
still there.
Say that again,
So
sorry.
that's your care and empathy for others.
Yes.
It still remains part
Oh
of your
gosh.
identity.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's probably, yeah, it's got, like anything, it's got stronger.
Yeah.
It's got stronger because if people are suffering with something, and not necessarily I've been through the same, but lots of times I'll try and look into what I've been through and
Yeah.
think, how can I empathize with them? Not sympathize,
Yeah.
empathize. Because I think lots of people don't want sympathy.
Yeah.
How can I empathize and what can I do to make them a little bit better, if it's only a tiny bit, whether that's mentally or physically?
Yeah. Okay. But now let's move over to we've talked about your identity as a holistic therapist, talked about your identity as a person. Now let's move over to your body and how the treatment chemo actually affected your body, your hair, even the treatment, the diagnosis,
Yeah.
how they actually made changes to your body. So do you think the chronic illness or the multiple sclerosis, do you think it changed how you see your body from something you are so used to and you trusted your body to something you can actually predict?
Absolutely. I was just angry. I was angry. I had all of the emotions. I was angry. I thought this is not fair. And I was like, why is my body doing this? What have I done wrong? And I was eating healthy. And then, I threw all my toys out the pram, as it were. And I was angry at first. And then I went through grief and I was like, my body's, why isn't it doing this? And our bodies are trying to keep us well. And I was like, why is my body attacking me? What have I done wrong? And I was so angry. But now, obviously, in hindsight, I look back and think, okay, I need to look after my body because it's a blessing that my body is working.
Yeah.
And I'm not in a wheelchair. I've got lots of friends that are in wheelchairs, but there is we need to appreciate ourselves and appreciate what we do have. So I make sure I take time out. I'm always preaching to everyone else, but in my diary, I literally block bath. I do wash every day, but to sit in a bath and just relax, I literally write that in my diary to make sure I do. And I do Tai Chi every week, and I do Qigong every week. And it used to be, if I can get a client in, I will do. But now I'm very strict with myself. I'm like, this is my time. I will, spend that hour doing Qigong. I'll spend that hour doing Tai Chi, and there's no disruption to that. I must do that because I need to look after me, because it's only if we put ourselves that we can look after everyone else. And I have so many clients, and I'm like, you are the most important person. You can't look after the kids, the house, your job, your essay if you're not well. So you are priority. It's not selfish. Look after yourself first. And I make sure that I'm doing that, because I can't preach to everyone else if I'm not doing it.
But it seemed like you made a lot of leap and changes to make sure you actually put yourself first. Like
Absolutely.
you said, if you put yourself first and treat yourself well, then you can actually treat others better.
Yes.
But on your hardest days, right, what does hope actually look like or feel like?
Lots of times I'll just go outside. I go outside.
Take a walk.
Just literally into my garden. I used to love walking. I'd walk for miles, and now obviously I can't do that quite as much. But literally stepping outside and listening to the birds. It sounds so hippie, but it's just nature. I think it's really important. I'm not a nice shoe wearer. I hate wearing shoes. I'm not one of these people that has thousands of shoes. I would happily take my shoes off and walk barefoot everywhere, if I wouldn't be arrested. I would never have shoes and socks on. But I think stepping outside, taking a deep breath, looking around you, and even if you're inside and you can't get outside, just pausing. So I'll pause, and I'd like to say I do meditation regularly. I plan to. I'm human though. I do it as and when. But just pausing and allowing yourself to pause. So if I'm struggling, I'll either do a meditation, or I literally just stop everything and just sit. Close my eyes, no sound, no nothing, or just the natural sounds of outside. I'm not a telly fan anyway, but I would just sit, and just pause, because 1 minute is nothing, but it can make a massive difference. Absolutely.
BetterHelp is the paid partner of this episode. Growing up in Nigeria, mental health was not discussed in our homes. As a man, you are discouraged from showing your emotions, as this is seen as a sign of weakness. If this resonates with you, you are not alone. About 62% of adults believe that societal attitudes stop them from seeking mental health support when they need one. And that's why I've teamed up with BetterHelp to stop the stigma around mental health and encourage you to seek mental health support from credentialed therapists when you need one. These credentialed therapists listen, ask questions, and help you to see things from new perspectives in order to improve your life. BetterHelp is on a mission to help you start therapy as easy as possible. If this is something you're interested in, click on the link below or go to betterhelp.com/laidback to match with a credentialed therapist in as little as a couple of days. You can also get 10% off your first month by using my link or the code LAIDBACK. I agree. So, but have there been moments when you think hope disappeared completely? And if yes, how did you bring it back?
That's a really good question.
Or what brought it back?
Yeah. Actually, there's one time I can think of particularly in Russia, and someone had sent me a song that reminded me of my daughter, because obviously I left the kids back in England, so they couldn't come to Russia with me. And I just burst into tears, and I remember thinking, why? That's not fair. I'm an awful mother. I've left my children. And I just remember thinking, there is nothing else I can do. I might end up, it might be the MS that ends up killing me. It might, what have I done? Why have I done this to my children? It's my fault that this has happened, which is completely, completely wrong. And it was the hope that did keep me going, because, I saw my daughter, I spoke to my daughter, and I spoke to my son, and I was just like, how dare I even think of not doing this for 1 second? Because once you have a child, it's for them or family or a pet, or if it's for someone else, it's easier, because often we put ourselves last. But I was like, how dare I think about giving up? How dare I, for the sake of the children?
So, and that leads me to my next question,
Mm,
which is really good. When you were in Russia, your children were back in England.
yeah.
You were thinking about them. So, do you think your decision to go to Russia and then how the stem transplantation to be better? Do you think hope influenced your decision, or do you think it was driven more by logic and survival instinct to be there for your children? What do you think actually influenced the decision?
Hope, absolutely.
Okay.
Hope. The hope that I could do something, and it was that I need to do something. And I literally crossed my fingers. And whether you believe in God, Allah, karma, the universe, I think that is what hope is. And I literally crossed my fingers and said, I hope it will be okay. I hope it will come really well. I hope I improve. But if I don't, then I know that I have tried.
Yes,
That's the
I
big
believe in
thing.
that.
Is
Yeah.
and there's no guarantee, but at least if I'm trying, there's a hope that I'm going to do better,
Yeah.
that I can do something, and it gives me power. You know, going to Russia actually gave me some power to say I'm doing something about this. And it was literally, I went to Russia with my fingers crossed and a lot of hope.
Yeah. So, but did you have any fears about the procedure, the stem cell
Absolutely.
transplantation? And how did you deal with that internally? Because you have to be strong
Oh my
for
gosh,
your
yeah.
children at least,
Yeah.
right? But how did you deal with the fears of, since you were scared of it, but baby, you didn't want to, because um I'm drawing experience now. Like I've had similar experience, not necessarily multiple stories, but I've had had an accident where I was um would I say incarcerated in the hospital for like
Oh,
months. I had like
wow.
burns accident.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I couldn't do anything,
Yeah.
and my family, they were so supportive. They were there. I tried as much as possible to be strong for them, even though I was in pain.
Yeah.
But I tried as much as possible not to show any pain
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
But I internally I was struggling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and it's not easy being a strong person.
No, of
Uh,
course.
I understand. So were you scared of the treatment and everything we're going through? And if you were, how did you deal with that internally?
I think I'm looking back to Russia when I had chemo. There was at one point, it was just a lot of it was me putting my fingers in my ears. I know that's terrible. And just saying, because I said to the other patients, I only want to know what's happening tomorrow. So a lot of mine, I'm not saying this is the right way to go, but a lot of mine was ignorance. I didn't know what was happening, but I just hoped that it would work. And that's so awful. That's not a way for anyone to live their life.
Well,
But that's
sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes that's what you need to actually survive.
yeah, I mean,
Because sometimes if you have all the knowledge, and that's why you see a lot of people who are smart and knowledgeable, they are so pessimistic.
yeah,
You end
yeah.
up being so negative about the whole thing because you feel like you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's all you
That's
need.
how I got through
Yeah.
what's happening the next day. Because when I walked in to the room in Russia, people had things hanging out of their neck, literally like Daleks, and I was like, oh. And then someone said, that's going to be you in a few days. And I was like, oh no.
No.
And then I said, can you sit the other side of me? That's awful. Not even, it's awful, isn't
Yeah.
it? And they were like, okay. And so anyone with these things coming out their neck had to sit the other side of me so I couldn't see them because I was like, I know it's happening to me, but I don't need to see it clearly.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't painful. In Russia, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
But I thought it did freak me out. And seeing that freaked me out.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I went to the therapy centre in Leicester, there were people in wheelchairs and using walking sticks and walkers. And I was like, that's not me. No, that's not me. And I literally didn't go there for a long time because I'm like, I'm well. I'm not like those.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started working there that I was like, these are normal humans.
Yeah.
These are normal human beings. And I never think of myself as judgmental, but clearly I was because it was myself.
Yeah.
I was like, I've got friends with all sorts of, illnesses and, friends from all over the world. And I didn't think I was judgmental, but if I was looking at myself, I was. I did judge myself. Why aren't I running? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And I was judging myself. And we are our own worst enemy. We always look at ourselves. But it's turning that around is what is so important, and looking for good things and realizing, speak to yourself as if you're speaking to your best friend.
Yeah.
That's my advice to anyone.
Yeah. But going back to being judgmental, right? So do you think you are judgmental with yourself because you're somebody who has built your career actually helping others heal,
Yeah.
and now you are the person that actually needs the help.
Yes.
How did you feel for you to suddenly become the one that actually needs the healing? Do you think that's why you are judgmental with yourself?
Yeah, because it's scary. I didn't want to ask for help. I was a very strong, independent woman. You know, had my own business. I'd got a degree and I had all the papers and I was very strong. Why would I need any help?
Yeah.
I don't need help. You know, well, I'm not going to ask for help because I'm helping other people. I'm too busy to ask for help for
Yeah.
myself. You know, so yeah, definitely.
So looking at everything now, even when you talked about the emotional side of things, when you're telling people, oh, if you want to talk about negative side, just move over. That's you trying as much as possible to condition your mind
Yeah.
and the emotional side of things. So how do you stay emotionally grounded when everything seems unpredictable? Because like you said, the diagnosis, the MS is a gradual debilitating disorder,
Mm-hmm.
but so everything is unpredictable. So
It
how do
is. I
you stay
think
emotionally grounded?
I try and do gratitudes, and it's very hippie, but every single day I do gratitudes. My children are like, oh, not again. I'm like, give me five, give me five. You know, now they can reel it off. Now my daughter's like, oh, can I have another one? I was like, yeah, go
Yeah.
on. But doing things like that, at first it's like, oh, this is so ridiculous. It's not raining. I'm alive, you know. But
Yeah.
then you start looking and you start noticing things like a spider's web. Then you start, and it's only when you start doing that, after about a week of doing that every single day, you start noticing
Yeah.
and you see the beauty around you. So I do gratitudes regularly. I literally plot out space for me. You know, I do Tai Chi. I try and keep my body well because your body and your mind are so in sync. You know, so if you look after your body, it will help your mind. And if you look after your mind, it will help your body. So
Yeah.
they're so connected. So I try and make sure that I have time for both.
Mm. So, but what do you think a lot of people misunderstand about the emotional reality of chronic illnesses? Because, like you said, everything is in the mind.
Yeah, and
Uh,
we have so much power that we don't realize. We really do. I mean, it's obvious, you know, the mind body connection. If you get embarrassed, your face goes red. If you get scared, your palms might go sweaty.
Yeah.
If you know, when you're nervous, you get butterflies in your stomach. These are things in your mind that are affecting your body. So it would make perfect sense that things in our head could affect our body. So if we are thinking good thoughts,
Yeah.
then surely that makes our body perform better.
Yeah.
So I try and keep my thoughts. Obviously, I'm human. Every now and again, I will have a little moan, but I try and keep my thoughts good and I try and think good things to influence my body.
Yeah. So, as a holistic therapist who actually helps to heal others,
Mm-hmm.
so do you think the knowledge you have about everything, the mind, the body, hope, do you think you feel empowered, or do you think you feel a little bit more conflicted with the whole thing about hope and then about chronic illnesses? What do you think? Do you think your knowledge has actually helped you?
I think, yeah, definitely feel more empowered.
Yeah.
I think hope, and a lot of what I do now is that I do lots of trying to spread hope and make people find their own hope. Because I can't say to you, step into your garden, there is your hope. You know, you need to find it in your own place. And whether that is, you know, lots of people turn to religion, lots of people turn to nature, lots of people just turn to their friend. You know, it's finding your connections,
Yeah.
you know, and finding your own hope. Because I can't tell you step by step how to find your hope or how to live better. It is so personal. But I try and support people in finding their way and to find their way through the world with a sort of with more of a smile on their face.
Yeah, but when you do that, like I understand you're trying to spread hope, all
Yeah.
right, and gratitude, like you
Yeah.
mentioned. But if there's somebody out there, whether they just got their diagnosis
Yeah.
they've known for a while, so how do you think they can actually prevent their diagnosis from becoming their entire identity?
I think be honest. You know, don't be ashamed to ask for help. It's okay. And naturally, we look at worst case scenario, but that doesn't need to be the case. There's always something you can do. I think the first thing is to come to terms with it. However, you need, you know, speak to someone, whether it's a close friend, a stranger, talk to someone, because if it's in your head and only in your head, you'll go round and you'll come up with horrible scenarios and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
So let it out. Be honest with people. You don't need to shout from the rooftops like I did, but be honest with yourself. And
Yeah.
there is, don't give up. There's always hope that there is something else that you can do.
Yeah.
So don't lose your hope and be honest with yourself.
Yeah. So being honest with yourself and others, asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about your relationship with your children, how you guys try as much as possible to play the game of
Yeah.
gratitude. So how do you think your diagnosis actually affected your relationship with others? Your children aside now. Okay, like even with your children.
Yeah.
Do you think it drew you closer to your children, or do you think it actually distanced you a little bit, or do you think it drew you closer to your family, your friends? What do you think actually happened?
I think it probably drew me closer. Definitely my best friend, because we do crazy
Yeah, you talk,
adventures
you
now.
talk about yeah.
We do loads of crazy adventures. I think with my children, because I hid it for so long,
Yeah.
and I thought that the children needed to see a strong and powerful mother that could do everything.
Yeah.
And I think actually that was probably a hindrance, because I'm still human and children should see you struggling. Obviously, you don't want to see them really struggling, but I hid everything from the kids, but now I try and be honest with them. But as honest as a mother can be, depending on the ages and things. I think it's important to do things with them to get them involved, like with the gratitude
Yeah.
and things like that. But yeah, I think probably closer to people. But that's because I've become more honest. Because I've had to.
Yeah.
Before it was just a shield. I am fine. Everything is fine. I will carry on. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And the honesty has helped a lot.
Yeah. So you've talked about your children, your friends. Your friend is happy to actually go on these adventures with you
Yeah.
now. But what do you think loved ones should actually know or understand about supporting someone with a chronic illness?
I think just be there.
Yeah.
Listen to them. I think the big thing is to listen.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy to give advice. We all like to give advice.
Yeah.
But listen, what do they actually need?
Don't be judgmental.
Don't be, yeah, absolutely. Don't judge.
Yeah.
And, it might be, I remember this is awful, but I'll be really honest now. I remember people saying, oh, do you need help? Do you need help? When I was like, nope, I don't need help. I don't need help. I'm fine. I can do everything on my own. But it's okay to accept help.
Yeah, because they were just trying to help.
Yeah, exactly. And people are trying to be nice. But
Yeah.
because I hadn't dealt with it, I was like, no, it shows a weakness. Absolutely does not. So speak to the person with the diagnosis. See what they actually would like, what you can do to help them, rather than, do they want you to nip to the shop for them? Do they want you to, just ask, because everyone is so different.
Yeah.
So they might want something really simple.
Yeah, but that's not easy. Because reflecting on my own experience, and like I told you when I was incarcerated in the hospital. And because I had a lot of people around me who had a lot of problems, different types of illnesses and issues, and I noticed most of the time they were angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So how do you think loved ones can deal with that? Because underneath, the person is angry because of what they're going through, and not necessarily at you.
Yeah, no,
but they
it's
are
true.
really angry.
Yeah,
with
and that's
everything.
understandable.
And I think is a stage of grief.
Oh no, I
Like,
completely agree. It's the quickest way.
Yeah, this is from experience.
Yeah.
They get really, really angry, and sometimes if you're not careful, you may take it personal.
Yeah.
And you think the person actually hates you, but deep down, all they need is love and support at that moment.
Yes.
So how do you think loved ones can actually handle this? Because it's not easy, to be honest.
I think you said it exactly.
Yeah, but it's not easy. You're trying as much as possible to support a loved one, and the person is fighting you.
Yes.
So how do you think our loved one can actually handle this?
That's a really good question. I think you've said it yourself. Remember that they're not attacking you, which is exactly what you've just said. And let them shout and let them scream, but it's almost like you have to make a barrier, an invisible barrier, because it's exactly what you said. They'll probably be angry and they'll shout and they need to get it out, because it's not fair and it isn't fair. So be aware. I'm literally just echoing what you said.
Yeah.
Be aware that it's not you that they're angry at.
True.
It is the diagnosis or the incident, the accident. It's them. But let them shout.
Yeah.
That's so hard. It's easy for me to say. Let them shout.
Yeah.
But like you said, don't take it personally, but they need to get it out. And it is one stage of grief.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's probably the first and easiest stage.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like life experiences actually make you tougher,
Yeah.
stronger, and it actually embodies you with empathy.
Yeah.
And maybe I am the way I am now because of the things I've been through, and that's why I understand it.
Yeah.
So maybe there's someone out there who has never been through that. So
Yeah.
the loved one would understand, why is he being angry? I'm
Yeah.
trying to help you. Why are you
Yeah.
fighting me?
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily you that he or she is fighting.
Yeah.
They
It's
are
the
fighting the world, the diagnosis, God, so many things are
what's
going through
happened to
yeah, so
them.
many things are going through their head, not necessarily you.
Yeah.
But it may seem like that because they are actually maybe now directing it towards you.
Yeah.
So I understand it because of what I've been
You've
through in
been
life.
through it, yeah.
But for someone who hasn't, I know we've said, oh, understand it's not about you, but for someone
Yeah.
who hasn't and is struggling,
Yeah. I would
how can we help the person? Because
I'm
trust
coming up
me,
I'm trying to come up with
yeah,
ideas. I
because
would
they will
say
struggle. Like
yeah.
this is from experience, they will struggle
Yeah.
because they can't understand it. No matter how much you try to tell them, oh, it's not you, they'll still say, okay, but why is he saying, why he or she saying all these hurtful things towards me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they struggle to
Absolutely.
understand it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would say throw anything you've got. Colouring books. People always colour for anger, don't they? Or I'm thinking like arty things. Maybe you could give them some sort of art. Music is fantastic.
Yeah,
Maybe music, because if I'm really angry, I play music and dance in my kitchen.
yeah.
I think music is wonderful. But I would literally say throw any ideas at them. Drawing.
Yeah.
Give them music. Give them puzzle books. Give them, let them. I don't know if they're mobile and stuff. Give them a punch bag. I'm thinking about as many ideas as you can just to get, because anger is a healthy. It's a healthy
Yeah,
emotion. It really is.
even though people frown at it, but I'm not saying you should go around being angry all the time, but it's good to let it out.
Yeah, and I think that if I'm honest, I was reading about this recently. I think if you hold your anger in, that's when you get poorly, and
Yeah,
I honestly
I
believe
agree.
that. So I think although anger comes across as like, no, don't be angry, but that's natural. It's a natural emotion, and those that hold in their anger, I think, get poorly,
Yeah,
and
over
that's
time.
I think honestly.
Yeah, over time,
So
I
I
get,
think yeah.
I agree with that. So talking about anger and different emotions we actually experience, what actually keeps you moving forward now emotionally?
Laughter. I always say to anyone, if you don't know what to do, go and watch some comedy. Go and laugh.
Do you have a particular person you like watching?
I love. Oh, who did I see recently? I saw Russell Kane recently.
Nice.
It was really good. There was a live stand up, but I try and watch comedy
Yeah.
because laughter is such an incredible feeling, and it releases all these happy hormones.
Yeah.
And I laugh at myself often because it's a brilliant tool
True.
against any emotion. If you can laugh despite whatever's happening, laughter is amazing, and it can take you away.
Yeah.
Like a book can take you away, laughter can take you away,
Yeah.
and it releases happy hormones. So scientifically, it's good as well.
I agree. But because of time, we're going to round off now. So, if there's someone out there who has just been diagnosed with a chronic illness, not just multiple sclerosis, any type of chronic illness, what would you say to the person?
Keep smiling. I know that's so easy to say.
Exactly.
It's so easy to say. And cling on to your hope. I know that's our theme, but try and find the positives. Do your gratitudes.
Yeah.
Feel free to ask for help. It's really difficult. And just be honest. Be honest. And asking for help is okay. I think that's a big thing. And you're not weaker.
Yeah.
It doesn't define you. It's just a new part of you.
Yeah.
Whether it's a diagnosis, an accident, whatever it is, it's just a part. It doesn't make you you.
Yeah.
You are still the magical, special person that you are. It's just an added bow, as it were.
Yeah. So, but what is the most psychological lesson this experience has taught you so far? So good. I know we're talking about hope.
Yeah.
But is there any psychological lesson the experience has taught you?
I think just keep moving forward in whichever way or form that is to you.
Yeah.
Not to. I'm saying that after I've said have a pause. Pausing is good, but in life and your emotions, keep smiling, keep laughing, smile hard, laugh louder. Just try and keep positive. And it's so easy to say, but tiny, tiny little steps make a difference. And every little tiny thing is still a step forwards.
I agree with that. But because of time, this is where we're going to round up. But if there's anybody who is listening to this today where can they actually connect with you or learn more about your holistic therapy?
You can find me everywhere. If you stick Kezia Kecibas into Google, I'm on Facebook, Rose Tinted. My Story is my book as well.
So what's your book called?
It's Rose Tinted, My Story. You can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
I've also got a Facebook page and Kellebec Holistic Therapies. I think I'm on LinkedIn as well. Very, very tiny, tiny bit on LinkedIn, just sort of dabbling with LinkedIn. But Facebook is mainly where I'm at. But yeah, just keep smiling, keep positive. But if you stick Kellebec, Kelebek, Holistics, I've got a website, or you can find me again on Facebook. I think I'm on Instagram as well. I know. People are like, are you covering all the media? I was like, I don't know. Just Google me, find me somewhere.
Fair enough. All right. But thank you so much, Kezia, because that's all the time we have for this week. I hope you had a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's been fabulous. Thank you so much.
And I hope you keep smiling because I can see like you are happy now. And I hope you keep having hope because that's our theme of our talk today. You keep having the hope to actually and keep on preaching hope to others who actually need it.
Thank
All
you
right.
so
And
much.
hopefully we'll have you back again.
Brilliant. You take care.